Think of this. Protesters engaging in a violent conflict with the police. Skyrocketing inflation and record levels of unemployment. Bombs going off in the middle of crowded markets. Above all, the leader of the largest opposition party behind bars for years altogether. If you think we are talking about Syria, you're not completely wrong. These visuals could remind one of the Syrian civil war that started in 2011. What if I told you that there is another country that matches the exact same description? Ladies and gentlemen, no marks for guessing which country I'm talking about. It's our dear neighbor, Pakistan. For anyone who follows global news closely, the parallels between these countries is hard to miss. And this begs the million-dollar question. Is Pakistan the next Syria? Okay, but before we dive in, let's ask a few very important questions. How do countries collapse? What leads to a civil war-like situation? Can countries learn from each other? What if I told you there is a single answer to all these questions? The recipe for a perfect disaster is this: faltering economy, prolonged political instability, and most importantly, foreign interference. Let's begin with faltering economy. One of the many reasons Syria got into a civil war was its failing economy. Unofficial estimates suggest that every 1 in 5 Syrians was unemployed just before the civil war. Corruption was rampant, so much so that Syria ranked 143 out of 180 countries on the Corruption Perception Index in 2011. Inflation was uncontrolled, and some essential commodities like wheat saw an inflation rate of over 50%. The then Syrian government imported wheat in order to control the rapid growing prices of bread, only for it to double immediately after. Wanting to control the price of bread rings a bell, doesn't it? The establishment in Pakistan infamously decided to impose a price ceiling on rotis and naans sold in restaurants last year. This is only the tip to the larger economic woes that Pakistan faces today. Fuel prices are at the highest they have been in decades, with prices now hovering up to 350 Pakistani rupees. This has raised the transportation costs exponentially and has led to high levels of food inflation. Foreign exchange reserves of the country are dangerously low at $3 billion, barely enough to cover 3 weeks' worth of imports. An obvious domino effect of this is agreeing to stringent bailout conditions by international lending organizations. Unemployment numbers are staggering. At least 5 million working-age Pakistanis are jobless, and 93 million people live in acute poverty as we speak. No country is immune from economic volatility. There are many examples of nations from across the whole world making remarkable turnarounds. However, there is one essential element without which no country has turned its fortunes, and that is political stability. Just to be clear, political stability does not mean one person or party staying in power for the longest time. It means having the right set of institution and clear boundaries that define roles and responsibilities of all actors. Too much jargon? Wait, let me simplify this for you with an example. In India, the power of every entity is clearly defined. Elections must be held every 5 years. The armed forces must report to the executive. The Prime Minister must prove his majority in the parliament to remain in power. Notice the word must in every statement. That signifies a set of rules cast in stone, something that every citizen must abide to. When someone tries to transgress, the judiciary steps in to enforce these rules. Everyone is answerable to everyone else. And this is what is called checks and balances in legalese. Unlike India, Syria did not have a robust system that ensured this. Before the civil war began in Syria, the country was a one-party state headed by the Baathists. Political opposition was severely repressed, and activists were jailed for merely voicing their dissent. You would have seen the heartbreaking visuals of people being freed from the Saidnaya prison, which is also called as a human slaughterhouse. Pakistan is not very different. There have been multiple coups, and to this date, The army is a knife hanging around the civilian government's neck. That's not all. The former Prime Minister Imran Khan is behind bars for over 18 months now, and he fights 150 cases lodged against him. Over 1,000 people were arrested last year for rallying in support of the jail leader. The regime has banned the principal opposition party, Imran Khan's PTI, for anti-state activities. Assad's regime in Syria did not fall overnight. It was a result of decades-long discontent with the state of political affairs. Given the rampant imprisonments and arbitrary bans on political outfits, Pakistan of 2025 closely mirrors that of Syria in 2011. It is no secret that Syria turned into a war that involved countries that had no real stakes in the region. With Russia supporting the Assad regime and the United States supporting different entities at different points of time, what started as a local civil war turned into a global showdown. Think about it. Why should the US and Russia care about what happens in a country thousands of miles away? You would have heard countries use the term internal affairs very often in press briefings.
Internal affairs.
Internal affairs.
Internal affairs. Internal affairs.
Simply put, it means that they are capable of handling their issues by themselves and don't need foreign interference. When countries can't draw the line or when they seek foreign help, they lose the control they have on their own country. Now look at Pakistan. Throughout its 75-year-old history, the country has always been a pawn of various countries that had landed in its complicated web of domestic problems. In the 80s and 90s, it was the US. Post-2001, China started becoming the new ally who dictated terms in Pakistan. Our neighbor, therefore, has never truly been a sovereign country. The US used Pakistan to fight the Taliban in Afghanistan. After their infamous withdrawal, Pakistan today is stuck in a complicated regional situation. Not only has the Taliban threatened to move troops to the Durand Line, but it has also empowered local militant organizations and sister groups such as the TTP in Pakistan to carry out local attacks. Is that all? Sadly not. Pakistan has been a victim of regime change operations by foreign countries way too many times now. The recent one has been the ouster of Imran Khan's government.
Imported, Hukumat, Namanzoor.
Matter of time until two power centers, the US and China, decide to settle scores in Pakistan like how the West and Russia did in Syria. Just to be clear, we as Indians derive no sadistic pleasure in seeing Pakistan becoming another Syria. It is in India's interest to see a prosperous and peaceful Pakistan. Instability in Syria ended up hurting their neighbors, such as Turkey and Iraq. History teaches us that this instability in Pakistan will have a spillover effect on India. Is there a way out for Pakistan? We don't know. Is there a strong resemblance with what happened in Syria in 2011? That's a definite yes. This is Sampriti. See you in the next one.